Support Rainbow Soul. Check out the Rainbow Soul merchandise for your favorite new shirt. A variety of colors and styles to suit your taste. Show off your love for Rainbow Soul. Get cool designs with your favorite quotes. Designs come in a variety of colors so that you can express your most authentic self. Support Rainbow Soul in spreading the word that queer, gender variant, intersex, transgender is sacred. Rainbow Soul, putting the soul back into queer. Order your unique Rainbow Soul merchandise at rainbowsoul.show.
Welcome to Rainbow Soul, an explorative discussion about spirituality beyond mainstream religions. Hollis Taylor, author, psychic, astrologer, and alchemical mage, brings their non-binary perspective together with fellow drag king and trans man Lacrosse Ortiz, a Jewish Taino with spiritual background of exploration that has led him to an atheist perspective. Join these guys as they explore deep and difficult topics, all related to spirituality, offering a queer perspective, an exploration of interesting topics, and engaging guests to help explore conversations for the Rainbow Soul.
Hi, welcome everyone.
Howdy.
I'm so glad you're tuning in to Rainbow Soul. We're so glad you're here. Welcome. And I wanted to say that, first of all, it is unfortunate that Orion is sick. He was just able to message me. It sounds like he's nauseous and stuff. I'm sure he'll be okay, but he is sick. And we'd rather have him when he's in his best and not when he's sick. And I know all of you would agree. So he is not going to be able to make it tonight. But welcome. Hi from Transylvania. Wow. Welcome. It's good to see you again, my friend. We are going to reschedule with Orion, so be looking probably in March or April, okay? We're still scheduling for March and April, so I'm sure he'll feel better, and maybe one of those Sundays will work for him. And thanks for saying something, Coyote. Coyote on YouTube, thanks for saying something. I'm sure if you sent him some love and light, he would really appreciate that. Thank you, Eve. I know that he would appreciate that. Thank you. So, Brighthawk and I, well, we really love Orion. We're good friends.
Deeply.
We're
One of my
great friends.
favorite people on the planet.
Yeah, and we absolutely love and adore him. So of course, I invited Brighthawk to be on the show because Lacrosse, unfortunately, Lacrosse is doing a fundraiser. I mean, fortunately, he's doing it. He's a drag king, and he's off doing a fundraiser tonight, so he wasn't able to make it. And so I'm glad all of you have made it. And so thank goodness I usually have a backup plan just in case something like this happens. So I'm glad that Brighthawk and I were able to, first of all, hone in on what's going on right now in the world. And so not to be ignored is our big political problem in Europe with the Ukraine and Russia. And you know what's interesting is just today I was looking at statistics for Rainbow Soul. And there are actually 8 listeners.
Wow.
To Rainbow Soul in Russia. 8 listeners, 8
Blessings
queer
to y'all.
people are listening to Rainbow Soul in Russia. And that is profound for a couple of reasons. because I went and looked it up. Well, what's Russia like for LGBTQIA people?
Mm.
They've canceled their pride since like 2007 or something. Russians are not allowed to have pride. Of course, there are LGBTQIA people there because we are everywhere. And unfortunately,
Scary.
they are not treated fairly there in Russia. So, in case you didn't know, they have some rights, but not really a whole lot of rights. And in the Ukraine, they're actually kind of right behind the United States. They haven't quite legalized marriage yet, but they definitely do have a pride, and they have activists and people leading the way. And so that's great to know, right?
Yeah.
And so I'd like to just do a shout out to the people in Russia. And if anyone pops up in the Ukraine listening, I doubt you would be listening to this, but it could be possible. I just want to send you love and peace. We want to send peace to where you are right now.
May all people everywhere be safe. That covers it.
That pretty much covers it. Eve, thank you. They said, wow, that is awesome. Great they're able to have Rainbow Soul as a resource.
Yeah, good job.
I
you.
agree, Eve. I mean, there's people all over the world that listen, but it just stuck out to me today. There's many European countries are fine with it, and I just thought it was interesting that there was a few Russians listening. So in that energy, I think we could pray for a little bit of world peace, Brigh. What do you think?
I think praying is one of the best things we can do, because I think when the world feels scary and unsafe and it's hard to get your grounding, the one thing we can do is take care of ourselves, take care of our little bubble, take care of our unique piece of the world, and send love and prayers out, and know that that actually does make a difference. I was really looking forward to, seems like whenever we're with Orion, we're praying for the world. We're acknowledging our connection, our unity, our oneness with the stars, our complete and utter nonsense that we have so much division and boundaries and separation that is constantly driving us into really unfortunate situations. So since this is a pretty potent time, what do you say? I have a little instrument to share with us. God. Keep the armchair out of the way. This is, if you've never seen it, it's called a hand pan. It's a steel hand pan. This one was made in Switzerland. It's a first-gen pan art. And yeah, so now I like to play a little game called the World Peace Game. And at this time, this feels like a really good time to play the World Peace Game. You want to play the World Peace Game with me? Yeah, okay. So here we go. Now, the way this works is that you're the center of your world, just like I'm the center of mine. And when each one of us sends love out into our worlds, well, guess what, my friends? We make world peace a reality. So let's make some world peace together, and know that when we do it together, it is amplified even more. You are more powerful than you realize. May all beings know peace. May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. May all beings know love. Healthiness and joy, compassion and love. Healthiness and joy, compassion and love. All together now. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. It's what we've got for each other. Love, love, love. All around the world. Love,
our own world, and we can make world peace together by sending out our love. Love, love, love. Just send out your love to your world. To your world. All together now. Here we go. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. To all around the world. Love, love, love. To anyone in need of love, love, love. We each have our own world, our own bubble. We each have our own world, our own bubble. My bubble, my bubble, my bubble. It's filled with love and light. Your bubble, your bubble, your bubble. It's filled with love and light. Our bubble, our bubble, our bubble. It's filled with love and light. It's filled with love and light. All together now. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. I hope you feel my love, love, love. Love, love, love. Now, I get it. The world isn't always a happy place, and sometimes it's pretty tough. And so I have to tell you, the lyrics for the song, well, they're not just lyrics. They came out of hard-won experience. I was recovering from cancer. I was in the hospital. It was 2006 and 2009, actually. And I was told in no uncertain terms by my doctor, you need to go walk the hallway. And I've got an abdomen full of staples. And that kind of seemed like a pretty tall order at the moment. It kind of felt like somebody saying, you know, go play in traffic. And so I thought, I've got to do this. How am I going to get through this moment? Because this was a really busy teaching hospital. The hallways were not quiet. They were very busy. And so I sat myself down on the edge of my bed and I thought, okay, my bubble, my bubble, my bubble, my bubble, my bubble, my bubble. And I got up and I took my little ivy tree and I started scooching it down the hallway. And I just would breathe to myself. My bubble, my bubble, my bubble. It's filled with love and light. My bubble, my bubble, my bubble. It's filled with love and light. It's filled with love and light. And I scooched my little self all the way down the hall to the big window, was able to look out and get myself all the way back, just whispering to myself, my bubble, my bubble, my bubble, my bubble, my bubble, my bubble. It's filled with love and light. It's filled with love and light. And in that way, my friends, I give this gift to you, that if you're ever struggling, just remember, we're all having our own experience. We're all in the center of our own world and our own bubble. And if you can take a moment of conscious breath and intention and fill your bubble with love and light, well, just about anything can happen. Blessings to all beings. May all beings know peace. Blessings to all beings. May all beings know love, healthiness and joy, healthiness and joy, compassion and love, compassion and love. All together now, love, love, love. To everyone in Ukraine, love, love, love. All around the world, love, love, love. It really makes a difference, love, love, love. We each have our own world, our own bubble. We each have our own world, and we can make world peace together by sending out our love, 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 love. Just send out your love to your world, to your world. All together now, here we go. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. What we have for each other. Love, love, love. I hope you feel our love, love, love. May peace prevail. Love, love, love. All around the world. Love, love, love. Love.
No,
you.
that's so sweet. I so totally appreciate that, Bright Hawk. Thank you. Just to send out all that love, just a good place to start, especially since I agree with you, Sandy. I thought about Orion too. Healing thoughts and energy sent to Orion.
Absolutely.
Hopefully he'll feel better. His husband was in here a little bit ago and said that he was nauseous, so maybe he's still watching. I don't know, but there's some good energy for Orion. He'll get it either way.
Yes, for sure.
Sandy's
Big love.
applauding.
Thank you.
So it's very sweet of her. And so one of the things that Bright Hawk and I have been talking about is astrology. And in fact, the two of us, we kind of like learning it together and studying it and talking about it together. And I don't know how many of you out there are deeply into astrology, but we are aware of like where the planets are most of the time. And so like right now we have a party going on in Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. And that's all kind of in the same area, frankly, as a chart. And it's a bit of a party, and it kind of intensifies things because there's Pluto, there's planets involved like Jupiter and Pluto. And so like Pluto is this so the interesting thing is, first of all, on February, well, it's debatable about what date. Okay, somewhere between February 20th and some other time later in the week, like the 25th, was the United States Pluto Returns. So I just want to mention that that when this began with the Ukraine, it aligned with Pluto. And several astrologers, in fact, I think Anne Ortley herself, right?
Yes.
Anne Ortley, if you look her up, she's a famous astrologer. Maybe someday we'll have her on Rainbow Soul. But first she has to stop misgendering Mercury. Anyway, she misgenders Mercury. Mercury is clearly a they. And so anyway, so Pluto kind of expands things. It's kind of big, right? It's kind of huge. And it also tends to bring apart like some rebirth energy and revolutionary energy. And with Uranus also aligning with Pluto, doing what I call a dance, which usually means that they kind of square each other and over several days or something, like, you know.
Well, I think of Pluto, I think of death and rebirth. I think of transformation. I think of revolution, because it tends to have that kind of energy. And, you know, we're seeing the beginnings of war again. And that was one of the things that Anne was talking about. There's, you know, some pretty contentious energy. But the other thing that's going on right now is, for the first time since November, I think, Venus this week is going direct, leaving the shadow period. All the major big planets are all moving in a very forward motion. There's no more retrogrades. And so if you feel like there's more energy, it's because there is. And if it feels like there's energy about wondering about the future, about dreams, about making plans and potential, this is what we do in the spring. This is what we do at Imbolc, right? We plan about planting, right? And this is a great time for that, to be evaluating what your, the Neptunian energy in Pisces is very dreamy. It's very, what do I really want? What do I really think?
What do I want to do this summer?
Yeah, a lot of people have figured out what they don't want, right? The great resignation. And now people are starting to look at, well, what do I want? And that's a huge part of, right, of finding your way in the world, right? As we eliminate some of what we don't want, and I don't want that, I don't want that. Oh, maybe I do want a little of that, and this is a great time for starting to vision about what your dreams are. What do you really want to commit to? What's really important? What are your real values? The Capricornian energy, versus Aquarius versus Pisces, that we could talk about that for just a second, right? Because you have earth, you have water, and Aquarius is air.
Aquarius is air. Yeah.
Air. It's the water bearer, but it's really air. It always messes me up.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are very different energies just right there in those principles. Aquarius is more about community and about what's for the greatest good of all, whereas Capricorn can be kind of what's good for me, and Pisces is we're all one, and it's a totally different fluid energy. And so when you have such amplification in those three signs all at the same time, it's good to check out where your placements are in those signs, and look at how to ride it, so to speak.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things that astrologers kind of do, is that we kind of look and see how things are aspecting for you in your natal chart.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the ways we can say, you might experience some turmoil in the next month or whatever. And it will just depend on how things are aligning. And that's what alignments are. So I just want to talk about that for a minute, because I noticed today somebody they were actually looking at what's his name's the guy that started this insanity. I hate it.
Putin.
I don't want to hate him. I dislike him so much his name doesn't exist in my brain. I think it went poof. Thanks, lacrosse. So anyway, so Putin, if you look at his chart, there are certain things, but if you don't have any reference to house and aspect, you lose some of just because your Venus is in Leo, for instance. Yeah, that means some things, but we need to know what house it's in and what it's aspecting. And so when you look at a full chart, then that gives you a fuller picture. And let me just say, it's very rare to see the same. I've never seen two exactly the same charts. Every person I've ever done an astrology reading for has always had a completely different thing. They might have something in common with somebody else. Like me and you both have Neptune in the second house, but mine's in Sag and yours is in a different sign. So, and there's that kind of thing, but the aspects, and that's why it's important to really learn and unfold astrology. And that's why you can print your chart and you can learn astrology. I promise you can learn astrology. It's not that hard. There's lots of different places to do so. And you can learn how these planets will affect you. Because right now, the sun is in Pisces, which makes us our actually clear sight not be as clear. It's actually probably a little bit more emotional and spiritual right now. And when you think about that, right before spring happens, most of the time, every year around this time, you might start feeling a certain way. That's a cycle for you. You could be like, gosh, every time the sun moves into Pisces, I start to feel more spiritual. I start to feel like I want to do my altar and clean my altar or make it up or something like that. And so if you start noticing cycles like that in yourself, try to put them in a notebook and start paying attention, and you can really help yourself. Oh, I really get good at focusing on my business in the spring. And you might jot that down, because the sun in Pisces will affect all of us, I think, right now.
Of course.
And then the other thing that you can pay attention to is, where's the moon?
That's the easiest way and we're all affected by the moon, right? We're all made of water, and we all literally feel the tide go in and out, whether we realize it or not, with the moon.
Right. And so the moon is
We have a
in
new moon
Aquarius
this week.
right now.
Yeah, we have a new moon that's going to happen on I think Tuesday into Wednesday, depending on where you are on the planet, I believe. And in Aquarius, I believe. Yeah. So.
And the thing about the moon is that it moves pretty quick, right? Like it moves in and out of signs pretty quickly around the zodiac. I think it's the fastest.
Every few days.
Every few days it goes to a different sign. And so, you can find out how the moon affects you. And most of the time, the moon affects your emotions, how you're emotionally seeing things.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Colors the lens you're seeing out of that day, for sure.
Let's see. Eve said, I seem to return to the same expressive apps. What do you mean, Eve? Like things that you get to express yourself, or are you drawn to other people's expressions? I'd love to hear more about that.
Thank you, Sandy, about saying you get confused about Aquarius too.
So Sandy Griffith says, that's confused me too about Aquarius. For the longest time, I thought it was a water sign. I thought I was a water sign.
Yeah.
Well, Sandy, and that explains why you're here. So Aquarians typically think out of the box. Right. And they typically are a little bit more progressive, usually, because they want all people to be treated equally. So they have a big thing about equality.
Yeah, they're good humanitarians and environmentalists and community builders and makers.
And oftentimes Libras are too. But interestingly, Putin is a Libra, and I looked at his chart a little bit deeper. What I noticed,
I thought was confusing at first. I was like,
it is a little confusing. But when you look at his chart, you realize that the sun is in the 12th house, and the 12th house is full of it tends to be mysterious. So he may not even understand that about himself, of that he likes fairness. And he may not even be aware that he prefers to avoid conflict. In fact, I would say that he's probably suffering from trauma. So, that's one of the things that we can also talk about around astrology, is that trauma tends to keep you from expressing yourself authentically. Okay, so you don't get to be yourself, right? And so if you're suffering from trauma, if you notice, that's one of the ways that I took a look at my own trauma, was I started to learn my astrology chart. And that's how astrology can help you heal.
So profound. I wish that everybody got exposed to astrology at an early young age, because it sort of helps you understand your wiring. This is how you work. Other people are going to work other ways. And I feel like when I got into the corporate world, they were really hungry to grab hold of the Myers-Briggs personality test, right? Because it gave people a language of understanding. Well, some people are introverts and some people are extroverts. Some people are intuitive. Other people are, that whole language. And I was like, first time I was studying that in the corporate world, I was like, why aren't we studying astrology? If I could see your chart and I know where your Virgo is, And I did the charts of my team, and every one of us had really strong analytical placements that lent to the work that we did. Right. And it was really helpful for a few of the managers to understand, oh, I'm totally approaching that person wrong. Don't approach a Cancer and ask them deep feeling questions. They really hate you for that. Certain people need to be approached a certain way, and it has a lot to do with your astrology. And once you start to unravel that, it's like a decoder. It's like, whoa, I bet you. And now that we've studied even more, we see something and we're like, I wonder if that person's placement is. I know that's very dangerous armchair astrology, but it really does provide so much insight into yourself. Really, that's what it's about, more than looking at other people. Is really about. For me, it felt like I could stop trying to rub out that freckle. It's like that spot belongs there. Oh, okay, nice freckle. And once and I could make peace with myself, because there were things that I thought I was supposed to change about myself. I was supposed to be more XYZ. And once I learned more about what my actual makeup was, it was like, don't change that. That's who you are. So I agree with you about trauma. It can really help you unravel some stuff.
You can realize that certain parts of you are blocked because of some sort of trauma. There were parts of me that, so I have by the way, a lot of non-binary people, not all, but some, have their Uranus on the ascendant. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So if you're non-binary and you just are curious,
yeah.
You can go look at your ascendant. And I have noticed that Uranus, someone, Nadia Shaw, pointed it out. She's an astrologer in one of her classes that I took. I am a member of her Superstar site. And there's like this Uranus on, she pointed it out. And then the more non-binary people that I had their chart, I was like, oh, look at that. Your Uranus is only
Check,
2
check,
degrees
check,
from
check.
your ascendant. And your ascendant is over on the left-hand side of your chart. That's how you can tell.
That's today's chart of the moment.
So this is the chart of the moment, but every chart has it. You can see it says ASC, and it's on the one side of your chart. So if you take a look at your chart
9
and
o'clock.
see if it's there, that'd be very interesting. There are some other placements as well that also bring it through, that I've also seen in gender fluid people, but I don't have enough evidence to support that there's a certain placement. But in most cases, when a person tells me they're queer and asks me if I see it in their chart, I say, usually I can find things that point to that, because Aquarius is very out of the box and out of what society is doing and sort of new age thinking. So some people have a strong Aquarian placement, but Uranus is revolutionary. It's like it's going to revolutionize the way things are done. It's going to usually, if your Uranus is on your ascendant, it's going to make you a little bit ahead of others. Like you're going to think a little bit more forward. And so then as a result, you can be seen as a little bit weird. So just letting you know.
Uranus has the tendency to explode things. They call it sometimes nuclear, right? So it can have instantaneous change in someone's life,
Yeah. So knowing that taught me to not dislike or to put down myself for being weird. Because I didn't like being weird. I was so unlike other people. And I think a lot of non-binary and trans people can identify with that. Because we feel kind of out of, like, what's wrong with us, right? Like we kind of have that reaction. Like, why am I so different? And then when you look at your astrology chart and you realize that the universe put you together that way, that the universe is asking you to step forward in that. And because I was severely bullied in school, I had to overcome the trauma of being bullying so I could step up and do things like I'm doing right now on Rainbow Soul. Yes, this is different than everyone else's thing. Yes, this is unusual or a little out of the box. And that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So then it was easier for me to embrace that and embrace what I was supposed to be doing.
Absolutely, because those are the jewels in the world, right?
Yeah.
That's where the good stuff is. Those are the people that we need more than ever, because each one is unique. Each one, I constantly say to folks, you have no idea how powerful you are. You have no idea how your one kind gesture can ripple out into the world. And the same is true for the one, oops, I was having a bad day, rude, mean moment. And when we start to sort of take it in its entirety, as above, so below, right? Woo, little personal responsibility goes a long way.
Yeah, and I also I want to address Eve.
Oh, good. They wrote back.
So they said, oops. They said I create designs and art both here in creating, but found on the online apps like Dazzle. I gravitate back almost exactly to the day each year to the same creative apps. Wow, I saw the other day. It was like 2015, 16, 18. Wow. And you know what's probably happening there, Eve, is Pisces is very creative. So especially if it's been recently and it does align with the sun moving into Pisces, it probably illuminates your creative side. You're probably always creative, but maybe more creative during that time. In fact, I know you're always creative. So
that's true.
And so I think that when we start to really understand ourselves through astrology, we can really embrace who we are. And especially when you're faced with somebody telling you you're not something. Okay. So a lot of trans people experience that. I definitely have experienced that, where people are like, you're certainly this, right? And I'm like, no, I'm this. And I have to keep coming back to like the non-binary thing. I'm actually both, whether you believe it or not, right? And so I have to like be out like that. And what I noticed is the more I embraced that as, well, that's the way the universe made me. It's like saying, well, that's the way God made me. That's who I am. Love me or get away, right? Poof. And and the more I got, the poof became easier for me. It's like, you either accept me as I am or we're not doing this. And that really, and it was because of astrology.
Well,
it really is.
Astrology, I like to say, shows us the way where you can put everybody in their right orbit. So some people we like to keep close, and other people, well, you can take the Pluto track. That was my solution when I was a child. I think I was all of about 8 years old. My dad comes, I'm the youngest of 7. My dad comes home from work and he asks me how school was, and I tell him, and my dad worked in aerospace, and I had just learned the planets. And then he knew my brother had upset me. And so he said, well, what should I do with him? And with all the earnestness of an 8-year-old, I said, you should send him to Pluto. It's the farthest thing. And my dad, you could tell when an 8-year-old says something, and my dad he didn't even try to not pretend to be laughing. He just started chortling. Okay, Pluto. And for the rest of my life and his life, shall I send him to Pluto?
Oh, no.
I always thought it was a great idea.
Probably still is. All right. And so,
everybody has their orbit.
Yeah, everybody has their orbit, and that's what's really important. I think that's what's super important, is also just knowing that some people just need to be further away from you. And you need to bring people close to you.
Yes.
That support you, that are that can, accept your pronouns, whatever they are, or whatever transitions or whatever identity that you may have. They need to accept that and accept whatever you say, even if it changes tomorrow.
I was thinking about this relative to Orion, because I was thinking about how certain people make you feel. And Orion is one of those people that no matter, I've known him for 20 something years, and we always manage to have amazing conversations. I always walk away feeling great and inspired. And those are the people you want to gather close, right? How do people make you feel? And frankly, if people are making you feel less than or toxic or question your reality as you know it, you know what you need to do. I think it's called
Exactly, just poof them, and everything will get better quickly. It's like magic.
For those of you
and-
who don't know what we're talking about, our friend Lacrosse Ortiz, the co-host of this show, has helped us come up with the proper way to take care of people who don't belong in your inner circle, and that is to poof.
Yeah, so you just poof, and they're gone, and that's the end of that, and we're all happier as a result. So
Yeah.
send them to Pluto, Sandy. Send them to Pluto. Eve
Poof them to
said
Pluto.
Eve suggested that Pluto is a queer planet.
Oh, how fascinating.
And that's interesting. I've actually read that before, and I would agree with you.
Thought I'd
Because
heard
I
that once.
first of all think that the planets, it's really hard to gender planets. But if you're going to gender Venus as a she and Mars as a he,
Mhm.
then you have to say that some planets are outside of the binary. And that would be Mercury for sure, and for sure Pluto. I would
Agreed.
say.
I totally agree.
And there are times that I feel Chiron is both or switches.
Mhm.
And I think that honoring planets that feel queer to you is super important going forward. And I'm actually considering with Bright Hawk doing some more like astrology forecast type things. And I've always said that if I do it, you have to use those gender neutral pronouns. Because like Mercury is an important planet. They go backwards like twice a year, I think it is. Three times a year.
More than that. But
Maybe 2-3 times a year. And when that happens, things happen in our lives. It's not always a bad thing, just so you know. You can review. It can be a time of review. It can be a time of bringing things up. And if you have a planet that's retrograde in your chart, what that usually means is you come into it with age. So in other words, you grow into the highest strength of that planet. So let's just say your Saturn's in retrograde. I just looked at somebody's chart who their Saturn was in retrograde, and it was in, I'm pretty sure it was in like the second house, but it was retrograde. And I was like, you're going to grow into this. Oh no, it was in their, it was actually in their sixth house, which means that they're a leader, and it was in Aries. So they're going to grow into their leadership. Okay. They're going to grow into their leadership role, especially in Aries, because Aries is a natural leader. So, and I just want to say that no matter bad stuff that you've heard about like certain signs, like Scorpios are mean, or Leos are arrogant, or Virgos are anal. I'm a Virgo. I'm not anal. So first of all, most of the crap isn't even true, but there is a light side and a dark side, I would say.
To everything.
To almost every sign, to almost
Yeah.
every planet. There's good parts and maybe not so great parts. And maybe it depends on how it's aspected.
Right. What house it's in, what it's aspected and has in it.
Right.
And
aspects is just the degrees it is away from other planets. That's what it's based on. It's based on how many degrees it is away. So how many degrees the moon is. The moon could square your Saturn, which would mean you would have an emotional experience about foundations, and it would be squaring it, which would be, I'm pretty sure it's 160 degrees. 180 degrees. Sorry. So 180 degrees. Yeah.
Anyway, that, you can get in very, very deep on this. One of the things that I feel like is another key is knowing where you're in your eighth house, because eighth house is shadow. It's sex, it's mystery, it's death, it's dealing, with the things of when you get stuck, when you get caught up, triggered. How do you handle it? What do you do? And when you look at that eighth house and the sign that rules that, it starts to help you unravel how you do you. Like for me, it helped me realize, oh, that's where I get stuck. This is where I forget to let go and, get a bigger perspective. And, things like that can really, really help your personal growth. Like you're on like nobody's business, It's incredible. So
Yeah,
really
if you work on
insightful
the
way
eighth
to
house
do.
and even on like your own Jupiter, your own Pluto, where's
Right.
Pluto for you? And that's usually generational.
Oh,
So
Jupiter. We should talk about Jupiter, Hollis.
Yeah.
This is a big week for Jupiter. Nadia Shah just posted how this is one of the luckiest weeks of the year because the sun is meeting Jupiter. And of course, that happens once a year. And Jupiter is good fortune, expansion, good times, good for I think I said good fortune. and so,
Good luck.
that meeting this week is very, very good fortune. Just yeah.
So some good things start happening to you. You
That's-
can honor Jupiter for that. You can say thanks, Jupiter. Thanks for that. Right. And I like what Eve said about Pluto.
Oh, cool.
I think Pluto is a queer planet because it gets overlooked, minimized, and even denied its full planetoid, just as a society treats queer people.
Man,
that's so right on, Eve. I so appreciate that. And I might repeat it sometime. I'll try to give you credit. And the
very,
thing,
very,
yeah,
very
the thing is
on.
that Pluto is, and it's kind of out there, and it's kind of like neither.
Oh, yeah,
it's kind of like the energy of neither. Like I believe in masculine and feminine, yes, but I also believe in both and neither of the expressions of divinity.
And I want to say very strongly how I think about it lately, because I get weirded out with gendering gods and goddesses in the same token. When we are talking about divine energies, I think of them as the infinite. And when I think about the infinite is the infinite. It is beyond gender. And I kind of think I'd rather stay focused on that, frankly. And so I get a little frustrated with the gendering of giant bodies in the universe when I think it's all about the infinite and we're beyond gender and our human language fails us over and over and over.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate not everybody's aware of it, but I am aware of it. And I would say that I think you either have to represent all different gender expressions of both and neither, and masculine and feminine, and even people that cross over, even the crossover types, which Chiron kind of makes me think of that. I guess because they're a wounded healer, and there are a lot of wounded healers in the LGBTQIA culture, and in particular the changeover. That is a particular type of wounded healer, the transgender person, or even a gay person that comes out. That experience in itself is a wounded healer, because most of us that are out of the closet, we usually represent something, even if we don't do it consciously or verbally. Other queers in the closet see us, and therefore by us being us, we inspire people to come out of the closet. That's what brings people out of the closet, is because other people are brave enough to do it. Maybe I could do it too.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
Being the safe space.
Yeah. And so that's why Chiron always makes me think of the LGBTQIA community, because all of us are wounded healers.
Absolutely.
Every single LGBTQIA person in or out of the closet, eventually they're probably going to come out. And it's about the wounded healer. And being queer is kind of a little bit of a wound, mostly just because of the way our culture sees it.
Well, my teacher used to always say, out of the darkest places come the brightest lights. those who have had to walk through some stuff are usually the leaders who help the next ones come through. I know the way. Come on, grab my hand. And when we look at it that way, it's not personal. It's a much bigger experience. And I choose to try to look at it in a larger container, in a larger way, where all of us are in the crucible of life, right? All of us have to get through this experience, and we want to do it in a good way. And I think there's some universal truths in that. Maybe I'm naive, but I think that we all want to do our lives in a good way. You know,
I assume, I don't know. It does seem that most of us want to, but some people, I think sometimes trauma could make you see the world in a more negative fashion. I will say that in my own experience,
sure.
In my 20s, I was not a happy person. I was actually pretty negative. And I would sometimes look down on the world and I wasn't always my best self, but it wasn't conscious. It was because I was suffering from trauma. So sometimes when people are suffering from trauma, they bring out their worst self. In fact, that's what creates narcissists, sociopaths, and other what we would consider perpetrators, right? Is trauma. And, that expression is what, and then of course that passes on the trauma. That's why they say you have to deal with your own trauma so you don't pass it on to other people.
Absolutely.
And I just think that, that when we see people in the world that aren't really great, we should consider what's happened to them before this point, before the behavior that you're seeing, what's happened leading up to that. And, I believe the collective right now is healing sort of trauma. We're scientists have major stuff about trauma and how to heal it and how to work through it and how to change it, how to change your experience, your triggers and things like that. They have science that proves how to treat that. Although in the United States, we're not treating it that way yet, but hopefully we will. But in some other countries, like in Germany, for instance, it's not that odd to go to a yoga class to deal with your trauma.
Wow.
Okay.
That's cool.
For instance. Yeah. And so, Chiron is in Aries right now and has been there for a while.
Right.
I feel like Chiron moves around in areas and tends to come across wounds and stays there and heals it. And Aries is about leadership. So if you take a look at Chiron right now, it's been in Aries for a while, and I believe that it's healing leadership in all of its forms, including the leaders that think that they need to oppress LGBTQIA people or, and unfortunately, what's his name didn't get the message. So, but the people in New Zealand did, right? They have a great leader. And so you be aware that these things are happening on the world plane, on the world right now. And we're watching it happen. And I believe in the evolution of the human race.
Absolutely. Hope for it. Yeah. If you want to have any hope at all, you got to have a hope in evolution that we can change, that we will change, that we will make the necessary changes for the planet so that life on this planet is sustainable, because we have sure done a crack job of fucking it up.
Yeah, sure have. Now I have to make sure I hit the explicit check box.
Sorry, there's just no other way to say certain things.
I'm just joking.
The days I get depressed are the days where I'm ashamed to be a human. When we have done, when there's a reckoning of what we have done to the planet, to each other, those are the days that you're just like, oh man. So you try to come back to love. You try to come back to praying for peace and for the greatest good of all, for humanity. And I really believe in programs like this that look at you've touched an international audience in a way that you guys could never have predicted. I mean, listeners from Transylvania and Russia and all around the world. I think it's amazing, and it gives me hope. This program gives me hope. There's so many cool people who show up. Y'all give me hope, and that's what we do for each other.
Yeah.
You know, Nelson Mandela, one of the things that he said, and I don't know if I don't think we
We have a couple minutes.
okay, yeah. I'm not
Go
going
ahead.
to do Ubuntu.
No, okay.
But
You could do Ubuntu.
It's what you were saying earlier. When one of us shows strength and stands up and shines our light, you give permission to somebody else to shine their light, and that's really valuable. It's very important, and you just never know who you're touching in those moments. So yeah.
All right, so we ready to do the reading?
Sure.
Okay. So this is the Love is Love deck. This is the Pride deck, and each one of these cards is done by a different LGBTQIA artist, which I think is fabulous. And whatever I say tonight, please take what you like and leave the rest. I am using a couple of stones from Crystal Underground, our awesome LGBTQIA friends. They were on the show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so just letting you know, I got these cool stones. This is called a prophecy stone. You guys want to take a look at this? I'm only showing you because you guys probably care. This is a it's kind of a weird knobby looking thing. It kind of when you first pick it up, you're like, is it plastic? But then you look at it closer, you're like, no, it's not. So, and I have a quartz with it to magnify the psychic prophecy energy, and that's what this is all about. So, I use it just to clean the cards and to also amplify that energy. So
I feel like I want to do a drum roll for you.
You can. Thank you. We're having a great time over here. Okay. As long as we're having a great time, you guys are going to have a great time. So this is the first card. Now, this card is really special. This is the Lover's card. And the Lover's card is super special because it's not just about loving each other. It's about celebrating love. That's what this card is all about. And it's in reference to our past. In the past, we have celebrated love. We've had pride. We've had marches. We've had all kinds of things that show love, right? And like, even if you did a peace march, those things are love based, okay? They're based on love. They're based on loving the world and loving us all as we are. So that's what this is all about. It's true love, deep love, where you love someone just the way they are. You love people for being them, okay? And that's what this is all about. And the next card is messages. The universe is telling us to make sure that we listen to the messages coming through right now. Pay attention to what's being, you might want to check in with the news in your area. You might want to check in with any kind of, especially protests and things like that. This could also be that you get the message that you have to go to such and such or do a group prayer for the Ukraine or whatever it is. Listen to the messages, pay attention to what calls you and answer it. That's what this is all about. This is about listening to the messages and seeing what comes to you, and make sure you pay attention. And the final is kind of an unusual card. It's kind of very Uranian. It's very unusual. Whatever's about to step forward into our future is going to be an unusual manifestation of magic. Like bearded mountain goat? Do you think that's, I don't know. Is it a bearded mountain goat?
Kind of looks like it.
So that's pretty unusual, right? With this amulet around their neck and a cool little cup and the sword and the whole 9 yards. And a very cool beard and beautiful roses in their hair. At the same time, you can take a look at this card and realize that this is all about unusual manifestations. So the universe is giving us, I don't want to say a warning, but it does kind of feel that way. It feels like a heads up, something weird's about to happen.
So as I like to say in my book, I am willing to be delightfully surprised.
It could be a good thing.
Good thing to, if you know it's going to get weird, make it a delightful surprise.
Right? Exactly. So that's what this is all about. It's just about that there's going to be something weird that happens. It doesn't have to be bad. It could be good. And it might be different for all of us. And we could all share a few things that happen. Like we all can share that the Ukraine was attacked, right? But we're not all going to have good luck in our job. It could be good luck in something else, with friendship or with networks or with our health or something like that. Or you could become awakened and aware of something you weren't aware of before. And those are the kinds of things that's going to happen. So it's going to be unusual. Something's going to come up. So in the past, it wants you to honor, Spirit wants you to honor love and honor where love comes from and how we celebrate love, including like marriage and gatherings and things like that. And the right now is listen to the messages that are coming your way. Make sure you listen to the news, even though you don't want to. I totally get it. I hate the news. But you can totally listen to the news. And just make sure you got the facts right. And make sure you listen for any gatherings or things that you might need to do. Okay? You personally, in your personal life and in the bigger aspect of the world. So, yeah, you might be called to a protest or something. Or you could be called to a prayer. And then you go to that prayer. And when you get there, you're praying for the Ukraine and you meet somebody that inspires you to change something that you needed to change anyway. So something like that could happen. Okay. So that's kind of like what this is all about. This is about manifesting something unusual, manifesting something weird. For some reason, my dog Charlie wants to say hello. Hi, Charlie.
Yeah.
Okay. So he just wanted to say hello. We had to let him say hello. So, and he's looking at me like, he probably wants to go outside. So past, present, future, lovers, messenger, and
That's pretty deep.
And the magician. I am going to point out that these all three cards are major arcana. And they 6, 5, and number 1. So the messenger, the magician is the first card, and is number 1, as you can see. So it's definitely big for everybody. Major arcana usually means big. It means it's going to be bigger than what you expected. Okay. So just hold on this week. Don't worry, my friends. We got you. We have each other. We can support each other and love each other just the way we are. And I appreciate all of you. Thanks for watching Rainbow Soul. Thank you, Bright Hawk.
My pleasure.
For coming to talk astrology with me today.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry we didn't have Orion on the show tonight, but
something to look forward to.
He is sick, and we will be rescheduling. I want to give him some time to recover, and then we'll pick a date.
Big love to our friends.
All right. And so send some love, light a candle for Orion. Hopefully he'll feel better, and send some prayers. So good night. Did you want to offer a goodbye song for us? Maybe thank you.
Hey, there you go. Sure.
And I'll say that one of the best ways to help yourself feel better about anything is to find things that you could be grateful for.
Charlie, could you not? While I have the instrument on my lap, it's a little much.
There you go.
Well, I was told a while back that the secret to happiness, it's not about your bank account or what car you drive. The secret to happiness, my friends, is gratitude. So each day I try to do a practice of gratitude, and I highly recommend it. And it's been wonderful to be here at Rainbow Soul, be here with all of you. And well, there's just one last thing to say. Please hear me say thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for what you've been through. Thank you. Please hear me say thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you've been through. Thank you for all you do. Thank you. Thank you, Rainbow Soul family. Keep shining your light and being the fabulous you that you are.
Thank you. Beautiful. And thank all of you. And good night.
Good night.
Thank you for watching Rainbow Soul, a queer perspective on spirituality beyond religion. We appreciate you sharing the show on your timeline, follow us on social media of your choice, and join our Facebook group, Rainbow Soul. We want to hear from you. Share your topic ideas for Hollis and Lacrosse. Explore upcoming shows and interesting guests. The Rainbow Soul Facebook group, where we build community of questioning seekers. Rainbow Soul, where spirituality is our medicine.
Divine Androgen, a sacred path for gender variant people. A book dedicated to every drag performer, transgender person, and other gender variant people that have passed to the other side, that have suffered the wrath of our binary world. Thank you for living your truth and treading us a path. We are sorry that in many cases that cost you your life. Now, we ask for your assistance in helping humans evolve so that we may all live in peace and equality. We honor your life by walking our own personal path of authenticity. Get this amazing book all about living as a non-binary person, a gender variant person in a binary world. How to navigate it, how to harvest your true self when you're surrounded by binary. It's a guidebook for people searching for their true selves. The book is intended for people that are gender variant and can be helpful for people searching for a more authentic self or clearing trauma. This book is about treading your own path. It includes my story in the beginning, all about how I figured out how I express gender and now how it comes out for me, how I discovered it, and how I dealt in the world as a response to that. And it also details out the ways that I unfolded myself in a way that helped me live in a binary world, even though I was non-binary. There are steps in here to help you define your own path. Hollis uses the word divine androgen. It's like a label to define someone that defines their own authentic path, regardless of their gender expression, in a way to say that it is sacred to be non-binary, to be transgender, to be queer. It is sacred. Not religious. No. We're talking about more of a spiritual, conscious awareness of ourselves and our path on authenticity. This book is about defining your path of authenticity, as authentic and unique as that is for you. You can also order the book at divineandrogen.com.
Shine